welcome to Robe Warrior.
Hi everyone. Before we really get stuck into things, I just wanted to issue a quick warning. Are there any bisexuals watching? Any bisexuals out there? Because if you are bisexual and you're watching this, just whatever you do, do not watch the movie The Only Lovers Left Alive, directed by Jim Jarmusch. Just trust me on this one. Trust me, bisexuals. You won't be able to handle it. You see, The Only Lovers Left Alive stars Tom Hiddleston. And not only that, he plays a vampire rock star. Huh? I know. It's like the best two things mixed together. And throughout the movie, he spends most of his time just completely pale, with long hair. He hardly ever wears a shirt. He plays guitar. Geranium transistors. And he's meant to be this ageless being that's been around for like 100,000 years. And he looks like he hasn't slept for 99,000 of them. On top of that, it also stars Tilda Swinton, who is just her regular, fabulous, ageless, just flawless self. The Only Lovers Left Alive is about these two ageless beings that go back to the dawn of humanity, a bit of Adam and Eve type figures. Well, that's literally what they are. They play Adam and Eve. That's who Tilda Swinton and the Tom Hiddleston are. I don't know if you've seen any other Jim Jarmusch movie before, but his films don't really have a plot. They're more of a hangout film. Pretty much what happens in the movie is that Tilda Swinton rings up Tom Hiddleston. They're lovers from way back. They decide to give it another shot. She packs up all her stuff, flies over to his dingy, dirty old flat, and they give it another go. And that's pretty much it. What that means is that when you're watching this movie, you're spending time with like two of the coolest people ever, and almost 2 hours later, you feel like you really know who they are. But the problem then is you ask yourself, damn, I like these people so much, but do I want them to be friends with me? Or do I want them to bully me until I cry? Okay? Now do you get the picture, bisexuals? That's what's going to happen. So just don't do it to yourself. Whatever you do not sign up for Stan, the streaming service owned by Channel 9. Sign up for a free 7-day trial, go to the movie section, and then stream The Only Lovers Left Alive, directed by Jim Jarmusch. Just don't do it to yourself. You won't be able to handle it. Because think about it. You're going to watch this movie. You're going to have all these complicated feelings about Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton. And then someone's going to come up to you and ask, what was your favorite part of the movie? And well, come on, let's be honest, bisexuals. You know what you're like when it comes to making a choice about something. So just whatever you do, just make it easier on yourself. Don't watch the movie. And let's just get on with the show. So now we've got that out of the way, let's move on to our next segment. I live in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. And one thing that I feel like is very northern suburbs is the 903 bus. I swear, I see that thing everywhere. I can be over at the airport, I'll see it there. I can be at Northland, I see it pulling up at the bus stop. The Greensborough train station. I've even seen it down at the supermarkets in Hawthorne. I swear to God, it feels like that thing is following me around. I can be driving along Bell Street, and when I'm wedged in between traffic, I have this 903 bus right up my rear. There are times back when I used to work that I would get out of the steps of work on the way home, and I'd look across the road, and I'd see this bus. It may have said out of service on the top bar, but it was a grey smart bus, just like the 903 is. There's times when at night I'll be woken up by the sound of air brakes right at my window. And I'll hear a diesel engine trailing down the road, and I'll get up and look out the window, and I'll catch the glimpse of a bus just as it leaves. And it always strikes me as odd, because buses don't go down my street. There are times, and it can be in the middle of the night, during the day whilst I'm at work, anytime really, I get these phone calls from a private number, and I have to answer, because if I don't, they just keep ringing. And when I finally do answer, there's no one on the other end of the line. It's just the rumble of a diesel motor. And since they kept happening, eventually, when I'd hear this, I'd then scream into the phone, be like, "Who are you? What do you want from me?" And then I would just hear this ding, and they'd hang up. But sometimes, when I go back to visit my family, they live in regional New South Wales, and I kind of like to see country New South Wales as like the far north suburbs of Melbourne. I'll go back home, and like there was this one time, I went to my brother's place, and I pull up out the front there, and what do I see but a grey smart bus? PTV stickers and everything. Not only that, the doors were completely open, and my brother's two kids were running up and down the aisles and swinging off the handlebars and everything of the bus inside. I knew something was up, so I went up and I called them out, and I was like, "Chrysanthemum, Nathaniel, get out of that bus! Come on, get out of there!" And I'd usher them back inside, and I'd close the door, and then I'd walk out onto the street. I'd stare up at that bus. It was just me and it. And then I would scream at it. "What the fuck do you want from me? I see you everywhere. Do you want me to make sure I tap on? I'll top up my Mikey if it means you'll just leave me alone. But you keep them out of it. They're kids, for fuck's sake." And then the motor roars to life. The bus lifts up on its air suspension. The doors close, and it drives off, completely empty. And now, I spent a while racking my brain trying to think about what would a bus want with me? Why is this bus following me around? And it wasn't until I was driving through Heidelberg in heavy traffic that I made a realization that made my blood run cold. You see, the traffic was backed up. Everyone was bumper to bumper, and there was a bus stop across the road from the Woolworths there. And then that's when I made the realization. There was one 903 bus that had just been and was trying to pull back out into traffic to continue its route. And behind it was another 903 bus waiting to pull in. And that's when I suddenly realized that there isn't just one 903 bus. There's multiple dozens of buses servicing that route at any moment. And all of them could be keeping tabs on me, watching my every movement in traffic, at home, calling me when I'm at work. It could be the buses themselves. There may not necessarily be 903 buses. There's the 902, there's the 901. Those grey smart buses are all over the place. So then I finally realized that I, in fact, have a whole network of buses watching me, and I don't have a fucking clue what they want. An old job of mine was working for one of the government regulators, the one that would take doctors and nurses to the tribunal if they did anything wrong. Now, if you only listen to the news, you'd think that it was always 18 months after the fact when all the damage had been done and it was too little too late. But it was my job to upload the press releases about all the cases that they handled. And let me tell you, the only problem they had is they weren't very good at singing their successes. You see, I'm going to tell you about this one case study I read that's going to make you feel a lot better about how well all our regulators are working. There was this guy. What he would do is he would dress up as an aged care worker, sneak his way into the homes there. He would go up to the most jaundiced and malnourished old men sitting there in their wheelchairs, go up to their giant, curved and just rock hard big toenails, get a pair of tweezers and just peel them back. In the press release, he described it as separating a large stack of post-it notes from itself, and right at the end, they let off this small gaseous puff, like when you kick a poison mushroom. And he'd go around collecting all these toenails from all these old people, and he said that all these old guys, they were just so doped out of their minds, so out of it, that they didn't realize what was going on. What he would do from there is he got all these toenails, and he'd put them in a jar, and then he would fill that jar up with vinegar, seal it off, and let it sit for a while. Pretty much let these toenails pickle. Because from there, they would go from this solid, opaque, to eventually just having a translucent, slight yellow tint. What this guy did from there, and this is the real kicker, is he would then pose as an optometrist, and he would get patients in, and for any eye trouble they described as having, he would prescribe them contact lenses. And these contact lenses were the pickled toenails that he had just collected. And you'd think that when your optometrist gives you a pair of toenails as contact lenses, that would be enough to get you reported. Not so. The people were getting these large, lumpy, misshapen things, and they were fine with it. You would think that when you get this contact lens, so much thicker than normal, that you have to peel your eyelid back to insert it in, and then once it's in place, it's literally bulging out of your eye when it's closed, that might be enough. But that wasn't the case either. You'd think that people getting these contact lenses with full of tiny little calcium deposits, where one side was completely rough, and that was the side that you had to put in against your eye, that some of the claimants in the press release were described as having deep fissures in their corneas, then maybe that would get him reported. No. Or you'd think that maybe the fact that these contact lenses didn't work because they weren't contact lenses, they were fucking toenails, may have been enough, but that wasn't either. No. It all came down to this one woman. This one woman went to see this guy, said she was having some eyesight problems, so he prescribes her some toenails. She gets the toenails, she puts them in, and then one slips from the front of her eye right around the back. Now, what she does from there is she goes back to the guy. She says that she's had the problem, it slipped around. So what's he do? He prescribes her more toenails. She puts them in, and then the same eye, that toenail slips around the back again. This keeps happening. It gets to the point that she goes in to see this guy, that she has this one eye just swollen, red, and just constantly weeping, and she's asking for help because she's now having trouble closing her eye. The press release described it as on the verge of prolapse. That's when this guy just freaks out, realizes he's in over his head, and reports himself. So, of course, we take him to the tribunal, we fine his ass, but would you know that he was never actually qualified? So he's never practicing again. And then, as he's walking out of the courthouse, that we go and interview him, and we ask him the question that I'm sure is on all of your minds. Why toenails? And you know what he said? He said, well, most old men have 2 large toes. Most people have 2 eyes. It just made sense. Does it, though? Does it? Hello, Wenda. Thank you for joining this congregation. I'd like to start us off with a prayer. Lord, are you there? Lord, is that you? I'm picking up a lot of background noise. Line's not very clear. Jesus, is that you as well? Did you pick up the prayer at the same time as your daddy?
Well, how about you hang up now, 'cause the men need to talk. Now, Lord, and I say Lord, I know I've asked a lot of you over the years. We've been doing this a long time, and I always come to you in my strongest moments, in my weakest, when I am insecure, when I have a boost of confidence. I always come and I ask something of you, Lord. Well, now, I want to change things up a little, and I want to direct my power of prayer to give something to you, Lord. And I say, Lord, for what I hope, Lord, is that while you were there, in the afterlife, walking the kingdom of heaven, that you have the good fortune to never come across one man. And that man's name is Joe Jackson, the most evil man in show business. For I have it on good authority that Joe Jackson is in hell now. And so it means that if you ever encounter Joe Jackson, who is in hell now, it means, Lord, and I say, Lord, you've taken a wrong turn on your walk a long time ago. Or that Joe Jackson has broken free of his chains of bondage bestowed on him by the protector of that domain, Lucifer, that sexy motherfucker. For it is said in Genesis 6 that the Lord looked on man and his wickedness in the earth, and he saw that every intent in the thought of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord felt sorry that he made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. I realize now, Lord, and I say, Lord, that you are not talking about the wickedness of all men, but the wickedness of one man, and that man was Joe Jackson, who is in hell now. And he is in hell for what he did to his youngest, that poor boy Michael. For Lord, and I say, Lord, what Joe Jackson, who is in hell now, did to that poor boy Michael, why, he took from him a gift from you, Lord, and I say, Lord, and that gift was the gift of youth, a gift from the Lord that cannot be returned or denied. And that poor boy Michael spent the rest of his days trying to get back what his father took from him. I know that it is a controversial position, and I have been kicked out of many a community center from sharing my opinions as such. But I still testify that all the allegations levied against the son can be attributed to the sins of the father. Because that motherfucker gave us Billie Jean. You're gonna say he touched them kids? What I mean is that when the shit hits the fan, are you still a fan? And that list of sins of Joe Jackson, who is in hell now, is long. And Lord, and I say, Lord, I hope that if Joe Jackson were to ever break free of his sexy chains of bondage, that you have the strength to strike him back down to hell, and may he spend eternity confessing to his sins, for it'll take eternity for him to confess them all. Now, Lord, there is actually one thing I would like to ask of you. One thing that would make it easier for me to sleep in my bed at night, my remaining days on this mortal coil, and that is that you save a special place next to Joe Jackson, who is in hell now, and lay out an extra pair of those sexy chains of bondage for Dr. Conrad Michael Murray, who took that poor boy Michael from us. And next to him, you have another spot for Quincy Jones, who knows what he did. Thank y'all for coming to this prayer. I'd like to close out by reading from the book of Randy, the family judge. And so, Joe Jackson so loved the wealth that he would give his youngest begotten son, so all those that followed him would not perish, but live on in everlasting funk. Randy 3:16. Shmonga.
Damn, bro. You really had us going there. You almost had the whole squad wiping. But seriously, bro, like, now we're outside. I've been meaning to talk to you about this. You've been bringing up wiping a lot with the squad lately, and they've been asking questions about you. I've been sticking my neck out for you, but you got to stop it with that shit. Right, we all agreed. We're staunch no wipers. I don't know why you keep bringing this up.
You know what I miss about being able to go outside? I miss being able to walk down to one of the nearby cafes with my girlfriend and getting something to eat. I really like doing that, but you see, I got my gallbladder out a couple of years ago, so if I have like a dirty burger, or if I have coffee and eggs on an empty stomach, it's a power walk home. I can't handle it like I used to. Usually it's not a big deal, but one time we went to this local cafe we've been to a bunch of times before, and I got the chili scrambled eggs. And usually I can handle a bit of spicy food, but these chili scrambled eggs, well, they were spicy. That I managed to get through them, but then I had to go right then and there. So I excused myself from the table, I dashed straight to the toilets, just barged into the next available stall, and oh man, if I thought these eggs were hot going in, they were even hotter coming out. I just end up slamming my hands and my knees against the toilet stall, and I just end up screaming. I'm like, "Ah!" as this shit just starts coming out of me, and it burns so much that it hurts. The adrenaline kicks in, and I just go into full fight or flight mode, and my body is just instinctively trying to get away from the pain, and I end up spider crawling up the stall to as far as I can get right to the top. But of course I can't escape the pain, can I? Because it's coming from my asshole. But then it's still coming out of me. I'm there, I'm at the top of the toilet stall. I'm looking at the guy down in the stall next to me. It hurts so much, I'm screaming, "Ah!" This shit is just pouring out of me. Like, because I've climbed all the way up to the top of the stall, it's splashing when it hits, so it just... And because it's coming out of me so hot, as soon as it hits the water, it just starts steaming. From there, all of that was bad. Because it was steaming, that then the air was just starting to fill up with all this mist, this fog. The whole toilet area was just getting humid, thick with my shit. But that wasn't the worst part of it. No, the worst part was the smell. Because you see, since those chili scrambled eggs had passed through me so quickly, I barely had any time to digest. So just imagine that you're the guy looking up at me from the next stall across, that I'm there, up the top, I'm screaming, "Ah!" That you can hear my ass just shitting, the water splashing, and then that shit causing all of this steaming. That you know what's causing it. You know where it's all coming from. You can feel the atmosphere closing in on you. And not only can you smell it in your nose, but you can taste it on your tongue. Chili scrambled eggs. And it smells and tastes so good that right in the back of your mind, there's this part of you that you just can't help that goes, I wouldn't mind having some of that. That was the worst part. But finally, things stopped. I could stop screaming. Then my asshole sputtered out. The splashing subsided. And the steam just faded away. That I slid back down that toilet stall to the seat with a slow creaking. And I just slumped there on the seat, exhausted. After a while, about 1.5 rolls, I was able to clean myself up, a couple of flushes to get rid of the evidence,
and I was finally ready to go. I open the toilet door, and I look down, and I see this little kid with walking sticks staring up at me. And then I look at the toilet stall door, and I realize that in my haste, that I had actually gone into the ambulant toilet and not the regular one. And this kid could have been standing there for that whole time, waiting for me to finish. I just looked down at him, and what could I do? I just said, "I'm sorry." And we're back. Let me introduce you to our next guest, Rigatoni Tony.
Thank you, Scott. Pleasure to be here.
So, Rigatoni Tony, how would you tell the listeners a little something about yourself?
Well, Scott, I just love feeding my ex-wives rigatoni.
Really?
Yes, Scott. I go to their house, I ring the doorbell, let myself in, and I stick a big bowl of rigatoni down on the table, and I watch them eat it. And I will stare at them, and I will sit there, and I will not leave until they finish.
Really? How many ex-wives do you have?
Oh, Scott, I'm in the multiple digits now. I have multiple digits of ex-wives.
Wow, multiple digits of ex-wives. You must cook a lot of rigatoni then. Do you cook it all yourself?
Yes, I do, Scott. Why, my owners will push a chair up to the kitchen bench, and I'll hop up there and watch them, and sometimes I might nod off and fall asleep for a bit, but when I wake up, there's all this rigatoni prepared on the table in front of me.
Hold on, you said your owners push up a chair.
Yes, Scott, didn't you know? I'm Rigatoni Tony, the narcoleptic bulldog that just can't stop watching his ex-wives eat big old bowls of rigatoni.
No, I didn't have that in my notes at all.
And you know, Scott, you know how when you're working on something and your pet will come up and hang around while you're doing it, and you'll be all like, "Oh, you're helping, are you?"
No, I know that.
Well, that's pretty much the same with me, but I'm actually helping.
Well, Rigatoni Tony, there's a lot to unpack there, and I'd like to ask you a bit more about it, but we really need to get to our next guest. All I have in my notes here is that he's a small business owner, and he's known as the boy from Illinois.
That's right, Scott. Pleasure to be here.
Well, now, since all I have here in my notes is that you're a small business owner, would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself?
Well, I'm the boy from Illinois.
I was wondering if you could help me with some relationship problems I've been having. You see, a couple of days ago, my girlfriend cooked us dinner. It was a real nice dinner, but we were eating in front of the TV, so trying to get things off the coffee table. Of course, you end up spilling a bit of stuff, and I decided to return the favor by doing the cleanup afterwards. I got my girlfriend's vacuum cleaner, a real fancy vacuum cleaner she's got as well, by the way, and I put the nozzle attachment in. And as I was sucking the crumbs up off the ground, I was just joking with my girlfriend a little bit, saying like, "Hey, with the nozzle attachment, kind of makes it look like an elephant." And we're laughing at that. Haha, very, very funny. And I just take the bit to its logical next step whilst I'm vacuuming up the crumbs on the coffee table. I say to my girlfriend, "Hey,
the elephant is thirsty."
And I stick the nozzle of the vacuum cleaner into her glass of juice, and I turn it on. I end up sucking up about half the juice in her glass, when out of nowhere, my girlfriend just completely freaks out. And she's like, "Tom, what the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "Just trying to play a game of Thirsty Elephant." And she says, "That's a $1,000 vacuum cleaner. It's not a wet dry vac. You fuck it up like that, we won't be able to get warranty." I was still caught up on the first thing she said there. I couldn't believe a vacuum cleaner would cost $1,000, especially one without wet dry. So she just stormed off to her room. Then I went off and I played a couple of games of Siege with the boys, and she still seemed really shitty afterwards. So I decided to be the bigger person in this situation and go in and apologize. I went into our room and went up to her and I said, "Baby, I'm sorry that you spent $1,000 on a vacuum cleaner that doesn't even have wet dry capability. I'm sorry that you can't manage your money that well like that. And what I'm particularly sorry about is how I tried to cheer you up with a little game of Thirsty Elephant, and that you just seem to take everything seriously and don't know how to have fun. So I thought that after that everything would be cleared up. But next morning, my girlfriend just still seemed really pissed off. So I asked her, I was like, "Are you still upset about Thirsty Ellie?" To which she said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I said, Thirsty Ellie. It's what I've named the vacuum cleaner after Kirstie Alley, from Drop Dead Gorgeous and her own series, Fat Actress. They got cancelled after one season. What the fuck are you talking about? We were playing Thirsty Elephant last night. She's like, "Stop trying to talk about it like that's a thing. No one knows what you're talking about but you. Thirsty Elephant is not a fucking thing." I said, "Well then why does it have a name? Why do they name the vacuum cleaner after it?" "Look, I can tell that you're pissed off, you're upset. This is my promise to you. By the end of the day, I will have Thirsty Ellie either repaired or replaced." To which my girlfriend said, she was just like, "I don't have time for this right now. Look, I'll call Dyson while I'm on my lunch break, see if we can't sort something out. Just leave it alone. Don't touch anything." So my girlfriend went to work, and you see, the way I like to see it is I like to imagine it that I'm the Flash and Jobs are like a solid wall of matter, and I can just like vibrate between them. My girlfriend doesn't like that joke. But anyway, I made a promise to my girlfriend, and I was going to get Thirsty Ellie repaired or replaced for her by the end of the day. So I started looking on the internet, and I couldn't find any real results of anyone else that had accidentally ruined their Thirsty Ellie by sucking up a bit of juice during a game of Thirsty Elephant. The closest thing I could find is a couple of people had problems with their vacuum cleaner after their kids got their hands on it and sucked up some things that they shouldn't have. I couldn't see a connection. But I did come across a video from this one guy who had instructions on how to fix a water-damaged Thirsty Ellie that was the exact same model as ours. So I watched the video and I tried to follow it because all I had to do was take Thirsty Ellie apart, rinse off each individual piece and get all the juice off, and then once I put it back together, everything should be fine. But let me tell you, these vacuum cleaners, they're really hard to take apart. It's like they don't want you to get in there. So eventually, with a bit of forcing and a bit of leverage, I was able to separate Thirsty Ellie apart from all her bits. And I started rinsing pieces and putting them to the side, let them dry off. And I was almost about to put it all back together when my girlfriend came home from work. Time must have flown by. So she's walking in through the door. So I spoke to Dyson. I told them that you accidentally sucked up some water while you were using it, not realizing it wasn't a wet dry vac. They said they could fix under warranty this one time as long as you don't touch anything. That's when my girlfriend saw me sitting on the lounge in front of the TV, the desiccated corpse of Thirsty Ellie strewn out on the coffee table in front of me. And I told her,
"Baby, just like I promised you, Thirsty Ellie is going to be repaired or replaced by the end of the day."
My girlfriend just takes another look at everything, turns around, leaves. Gone. That was a couple of days ago now. I haven't seen or heard from her since. But, I'm hoping that she gets things sorted out soon because the rent's coming up. The place is in her name. She pays it. I'm hoping she realizes that, she has a few more responsibilities in her life than just her. That there's other things that she needs to take care of. So, look, you're completely up to speed with everything that's gone on with this whole situation. So I'd like to hear from you in the comments now. Okay, you tell me how badly my girlfriend overreacted to just a little game of Thirsty Elephant. And you tell me what you think about what a good job I was doing trying to put Thirsty Ellie back together and get it repaired. So, looking forward to hear your comments. Hopefully my girlfriend will read some of these and realize what she's done wrong. Thank you.
"Hey baby, Can you come here?
Sure.
Guys, we gotta stop sending dick pics, alright? No one wants to see your dick. That's a gender neutral thing. No matter who you are, dicks are ugly. Do you want to see me get my fucking dick out right now? Huh? Do you want to see my fucking dick? You want to whip it out? No, of course you don't. Nobody wants to see my dick. And that goes for you as well. Okay? So I'm going to tell you what to do now. Because it's easy to say we've got to stop sending dick pics. But the real answer is in the alternative. So next time you match with a girl on Tinder, you're going to fight the urge to pull down your pants and take a snap, and this is what you're going to do instead. You're going to send her a message saying, "Damn girl, you a queen. What's your PayPal email?" And then from there, you're going to send her maybe 20, 30, even maybe $50. Because what better way to get a relationship off on the right foot and let a woman know you're serious? And then from there, you're going to send her another message, because you probably thought that money was the dick pic replacement. No, that's just the new greeting. This next message is the setup for the dick pic replacement. You're going to tell her, "I'm going to send you a video now. What do you want to see in it?" And this is where you've been fucking up again. You've been forgetting to ask. Consent is key. Because when you hear back from her, what you're going to do is you're going to send her a video of you bent over, flash on, hunched over, cranking down, absolutely yanking at your dick, heavy breathing, moaning her name, making sure that you can get the glint of that little bead of pre-cum forming the tip of your dick. And then when you shoot out, you're going to pull out so you can get that whole shot in shot. That's right. The dick pic is dead. We're doing nut videos from now on. Because, I mean, ladies, think about it. How great is this? You get money, you get custom content, you get cum shots all at once. What could be better than that? So now, here's the thing. If we're accepting nut videos as the new standard, the question is, what makes a good nut video? Well, the answer is simple. Personalization, personalization, personalization. You got to make sure that when you send a girl a nut video, she knows that you've made it just for her, and it's not going out to every other girl that you're sending PayPal money to. So you got to do your research. You got to look her up, get to know her background, figure out what she likes, say her name in there, and let her know that that nut video you've made is just for her. It's got to sound a little something like this.
Oh, fuck, Melissa. When I saw those photos, your trip to Bali in 2017, oh, so fucking hot I couldn't help myself. I really liked your red bangs from 2015. You look really fucking cute. I reckon you're the best account manager at CGU. Those other women that work there, they're such fucking bitches. You know what? I reckon your mum would be a really fun person to hang out with.
And then you come. Alright? Because here's the thing. Women don't want your dick. They want your cum. So you better make sure that you pull out, and as you're throwing ropes, you get the whole thing in there, because that's what they want to see. Because really, when it comes to cum, women fall into two camps. There are those who want to wear it, and those who want to womb it. So there's those ones that just want to feel it hit them and stick hot and fast, just everywhere from where they get waxed to where they get weaved, just everything in between, just coated. And then there are those women who just want to get pumped with your hot shots in their hot spot till their pelvic floor can't take anymore. And they want to cantilever cross-legged to the commode lest the bed sheets make contact. So that's the hard facts, guys. What women want is your cum. Your dick has nothing to do with it. I know that can be a little bit hard to accept, but that's the reality. And I know that I've dropped a lot on everyone right now. So if anyone's feeling a little bit personally attacked by these facts, you sort of don't know how to take all this in, then send me a message after you've finished watching this. We can exchange PayPal email addresses and we'll see if we can't figure something out.
Hello. There's a little something I'd like to clarify. You see, there have been some absolute abuses of the truth going on around about me. There have been some straight up, low down lies, and honestly, some embarrassing embellishments on others' behalves. So now, I'm going to clear it up for y'all. Yes, I sell drugs, but I'm not a drug dealer. Yes, I do stock Scooby-Doo, Angel Dust, Snow, Blow, Speed, Skag in what could be considered commercial quantities with the intent to distribute, but I like to consider myself as a young upstart entrepreneur in an industry pending legality. I have established administrative processes, a cool, calm, professional demeanor, and I pride myself on my customer service. I keep log and ledger of all my transactions, and come reporting time, I fulfill all my obligations. When tax time comes along, my conscience is clear. How many larger, legitimate organizations can say that? What I would also like to clear up is a couple of mistruths going around about my breaking the tenements of the 10 crack commandments. As you see, what I've done is not warranted and without precedent. I'll explain to y'all now. Yes, I take drugs, but I am not a drug user. Because would you buy a car from a car salesman that does not drive that same model car? Would you take the advice of a phone salesman if he himself does not use that same model phone? You see, if I want to make it in the extreme supplements market, I need to stand by my product. So I'm going to say it again. I do not take drugs recreationally. I take drugs professionally. If the man with no shirt and no body fat comes up to me and asks if the shots in my hand are better than sex, how can I tell him with confidence unless I break out my own spoon and lighter and inject some of that into my eyeball to see if that shit puts me on a trip that sends me into rehab on a 6-week stint because that skank was too dank that I couldn't quit after just one hit. Because I look at this man with his prepubescent physique and his rodent-like features, and I need to respect his request on what to expect from this meth on the spectrum relative to sex. Because I can tell from the look of this man, he has been unable to convince another party into the aforementioned coupling, and so he is in search of a substitute, and I need the insight to provide him with an informed decision, because I need to let him know whether this is a fruitful endeavor. So, in closing, I am nothing more than a simple businessman who takes his craft extremely seriously. Nothing more, nothing less. And I will say it now, and I'll say it proud, and I'll say it loud. Yes, I sell drugs.
I'm covered in skin, and it hurts to take it off.
How's it going? I hope that COVID hasn't jagged around your plans too much. Have you still been sticking to your New Year's resolutions? Because I wanted to tell you about how I was able to complete one of mine just before lockdown really kicked in. Because right before we all had to go indoors, I just completed a long-distance bike ride, the Melbourne to Mildura Classic.
You see, all my friends know that I've always been a real big New Year's resolutions guy. That I always want to come up with a new goal to complete throughout the new year. And it was December of last year, things were starting to come to a close. I was at a party with some of my friends, and I was like, I love doing these New Year's resolutions. I've done so much stuff now. What can I do next year? And one of my friends said, I don't know. How about you go on like a bike ride or something? And I thought to myself, a bike ride? What's that? I had no idea what he was talking about. I had never seen or heard of a bike before. That's why I thought it was the perfect challenge for me to take on in 2020. So, as soon as the clock hit January 1st, I went and I Googled bike rides, and I saw one called the Melbourne to Mildura Classic. It was this long-distance ride from here in Melbourne to this place out in the west called Mildura. I'd never heard of it either. So this was going to be a whole session of new experiences. So I signed up for that, paid my registration money. Then I just had to find out what the fuck a bike was and what you're supposed to do with them. So I went down to my nearest bike store, dropped a couple of grand on what was supposed to be a really nice bike. But I don't know if you've ever seen a bike before. They're these weird looking things. It's like two triangles put together with circles on the end, and then there's bar across the end of it that you're meant to hold on to. And these things don't stand up on their own, but apparently once you're moving on them, they're meant to stay up somehow. I don't know. I couldn't get it to work. I swear this guy sold me a dud. And I was just trying, and I could not get this bike to go. But the deadline for the Melbourne Mildura Classic was coming up, and I was freaking out. Because I always do these New Year's resolutions. I committed myself to this. What am I going to do? Then I was doing some research, doing some looking, and I found out about this guy who was willing to help me out. He said he had this new formula. It was this new synthesized type of testosterone. They didn't pop up in tests yet. That if I take that, he said it was perfectly fine. Taking these sort of like performance enhancing drugs, it was a cultural institution in bike riding. Everybody did it. He said all I got to do is I had to inject it between my thigh and my scrot, and that should give me the strength and endurance I needed to ride a bike. And let me tell you that after I injected those steroids, that I had to grip those handlebars, white-knuckled, that I had to just stomp on those pedals, flat-footed, huffing and puffing, with a red face. But when I was on steroids, I could ride a bike. Now, you may think that because I had those steroids, that I was all sorted. But riding a bike on them presented their own challenge. You see, my balls just got so swollen and tender that it was like a turkey's snood draped across the bike seat. And then, as I was pedaling, that they would just swing and crash into each other. It was like a Newton's cradle of family jewels. And then, when I was walking around between events, that each testicle just draped down its respective leg. And because I had on such tight cycling shorts that they just bulged out and were pushed together in this type of scrotal camel toe. And since I was walking around with such extravagant plumage, everybody else there knew that I was using. They knew I was on steroids, and they hated me because I was winning. That's right. First time I ever rode a bike, the Melbourne to Mildura Classic, and I won. So it just goes to show that you still have a bit of time left this year. If you want to complete your New Year's resolutions, you can do it too. All you have to do is work hard, persevere, and ignore every signal your body telling you to stop.
Have you been following along with the show all right? Been able to follow everything? It's okay if you haven't. It just means that your brain isn't as big as mine is. It's true. It's been scientifically proven. You may have seen that I suffered a bit of a fall during shooting there, and I went to the doctor, and he told me that my brain is actually enlarged. That it's actually so big that it's pressing against the inside of my skull, almost painfully so. It just means that my IQ is so high it cannot be contained. I'm just so smart and my brain is so big and I just need to lie down for a while. Excuse me.
My God. Tom? 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 Tom, are you alright? Are you alright? Tom? Tom? You got it? Tom? Are you alright? Tom? Tom? Tom!
I used to go out. I used to go out. Now I stare into the blinding flash of my phone. I erect stands, I stand and I recite, then I chop and cut and critique, examining every little movement, pause and cadence, all to present the perfect version of me. But will anyone see? I used to go out. I performed, I waited hours for 5 minutes. I spoke, the people laughed and they left. I didn't do it for them. I used to go out. Could I go back? Do I want to? Part of me wants to stay here, recite my words into the light and cast them into the void. In my room it feels more real. The farce is apparent, the isolation oppressive. What am I doing? I'm staring into the light, playing guitar, lying on my kitchen floor, all in a vague promise of an audience, recording my failures and papering over them with a cut and a paste. I used to go out. Do I go back? Or do I stay here and add to my library of unrealized potential? Because I need to. The bits compel me. Telling stories lets me know I'm alive. But how do I feel alive? How do I feel alive? Because I need to.